All right. Can you guys hear sound at the moment? That's the most important thing that I'm interested. And to Davis PG, how's it going, man? Thanks for tuning in. If you can hear me, please let me know. Very curious to know. And then we'll do some things. All right. It's working. Saying you should be able to hear it. Excellent. Good, good, good. Let's do that. Loud and clear. I'm so happy I bought a new webcam today. So I can do this, and so I can do a bunch of other stuff as well. Primarily to teach guitar on Skype properly as well. So yeah, if any of you out there are watching this and interested, you know, it works, which is good. So I see there's 3 people watching. You guys want to ask me some questions about the guitar or about sounds or anything you would like to know in the universe? Let's do it. I'll start fielding questions while I'm drinking my tea. And I really want to figure out how to do this so that I don't have to rely on the webcam microphone picking up, but at the moment I've got the webcam in between 2 studio monitors, so you're hearing the sound of the X8 through the little microphone in the webcam, but that also means you can hear me speak as well. Hopefully I can actually figure out how to do this so that you can hear the DI sound out of the X8 with this, but this is all part of the process. I'm doing this so I can learn about it as well. So this is a preset I made, which is meant to emulate the Yamaha UD Stomp, the Alan Holdsworth thing. A similar setting. That's cool. How long have I been playing? Well, that's I guess it depends on what you mean by playing. I think I decided I wanted to be a guitar player when I was 14, precisely 2 days after my 14th birthday. Um, but I grew up in a house full of guitars and with a father who's a guitar player and a guitar builder. So there's photos of me when I'm like 3 or 4, kind of getting around with these like little guitars he made for me, and I couldn't really play them, but I always remember being able to play like a bit of Wipeout or something like that as a kid, and that was kind of the thing when you do your news at school. Um, I could always bring a guitar in and like pluck away on the strings, but I was more interested in skateboarding and video games until I was about 14, and then I got Thin Lizzy's Live and Dangerous, and that was kind of it. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a guitar player at least. So still don't know if I've become a musician yet. So yeah, I've been playing for 15 years, I guess, over half my life, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I think when I was maybe 15, 16, I really seriously got into it. So yeah, that's my story on the guitar, I guess. And I'm really glad you like the videos as well, because I started doing those almost purely for myself, so that I could push myself to figure out how to use certain parts of it. So I thought, well, if I do a video about it, if it sucks, then people will tell me, and if it doesn't suck, which I didn't know if they sucked or not, I figured if people got use out of them, then it obviously meant that they didn't suck. So I'm really glad they've helped. Yeah, I mean, I sit around in here a lot of the time writing and teaching, so I figure I may as well figure out how to use the cool stuff that I've got. So really, really appreciate it. Appreciate that you like it. Which is pretty cool. What's this saying? Am I even online at the moment? Should be. So yeah, let me think. If you've got any specific thing, like if you've got a question with the Axe8, now let me know, and I'll try and answer it for you, and do it in. I should be able to bring the editor up as well. So, thanks, dude. I really, really appreciate again that you like the videos. Where are you from? Because it looks like your name is written in Cyrillic, which obviously I can't read, but I would love to know. I would love to know how to do it. So the fact that you like the videos is really, really cool. So yeah, let me know where you guys are tuning in from. I think it's pretty cool. This tea is really good as well. In Moscow, wow, that's awesome. That's one of my dream places to go and visit. I think it's in my blood because my dad's side of my family are Slavs. So, the calling to the mother country is very strong. And I have a really great Russian-made preamp as well. I'll give you a look. The Super Lead. I don't know what part of Russia he's from, but it's an awesome, awesome preamp. It's a Soldano clone, so I'm pretty stoked to have that piece of Russian hardware in my arsenal. Oh, so you're from London, man. That's very, very cool. I haven't been to the UK actually. We toured Europe last year, but did not make it. So that's the other side of the equation, I guess, for my heritage. Yeah, let me see. I'm gonna play some stuff. Playing a Les Paul, JB, jazz, which is pretty cool. I don't know. Let's see. Let me bring up a random patch. Here's something I've been mucking around with. Is the AC20 model in the Axe8, the Morgan, with a Celestian Blue impulse going with it. Let me just do something really quickly here. Change a particular setting. There we go. a pretty cool saying. Favorite guitar? That's a really, really good question. I have so many of the damn things that maybe I'll actually show you a couple of them. The guitar I got the biggest soft spot for is this one, which is laying right here. This is a PRS SC245, which it's basically a PRS, it's their version of a Les Paul with the same control layout and everything like that. I got this guitar in Dallas in 2014, and my wife is from Dallas, funnily enough. I met her there in 2013, so when we went back to the States to tour, I got to kind of shoehorn spending some time with her and her family around that. And yeah, when I was there, I bought this guitar right before the tour and ended up using it for the tour, and it was really a blessing, because I think we did like 20, far out, how many shows did we do? We did like 21 shows in nearly as many days, but at one stage we did like 15 shows in 14 days. So I played this guitar for pretty much all of it, and it just ruled. And then when we recorded our last album, Back to Zero, this was the guitar that I used the most. So yeah, I don't know, it's just got this beef to it, which is really, really nice. Almost like a grind, I would describe it as. It has in the low end and the low mids. That's with a Morgan sound, but with something like a 5150. And it's got this, it just does what it should do for me. So it's a really great guitar to play live, because it's comfortable to play live and it sounds, appropriate in the setting of the band, but it's also a very recordable guitar. One thing I find with the PRS stuff is sometimes it's a little bit neither here nor there. Like, it's not Stratty enough to pass off as a Strat, and it's not Gibson-y enough to pass off as a Gibson, but this one, this is my ultimate Les Paul. And growing up listening to Thin Lizzy and Gary Moore and stuff like that, I guess I kind of gravitate towards slightly more towards the Gibson end of the spectrum. So this one does the trick really nicely, really nicely. And it's got got harmonics everywhere, which is really, really nice. The other guitar that I have a real soft spot for, which I'll show you, which is not a Les Paul type guitar for a change. Just grab it. It's this guitar, which is a Strat style guitar that my dad made me for my 21st birthday. So I've obviously got quite a soft spot for it, but I don't know if this is going to come across. It's got a really heavily scalloped fingerboard, because I really like Yngwie Malmsteen's guitar playing, and part of that sound is it's a little bit out of tune, so let me get it into tune for you. Alright, there we go. And I need to do a bit of maintenance on this because the jack is starting to go. And then we're back with the Morgan. That's pretty cool. And it's got a set of Fender lace sensors in it, which are really, really underrated pickups. I think, you know, they're probably wrongly get accused of being the awful looking 90s Strat pickups, but they sound really good. You can pick them up secondhand really cheap, which I like. And yeah, it's got a really heavily sculpted fingerboard, so much so that if you don't do a traditional vibrato, like an up-down vibrato, you can actually push down into it, and that's pretty cool. You get this like microtonal thing. And you know, the normal vibrato is a lot. That sounds pretty meaty, which is cool. And why is there no sound here? Probably because I haven't assigned a volume block or something. I don't know, that's a mystery. Ah, there's no cab block assigned, that's why. Rookie mistake. Let's see, let's change that one to... that's good. I'm running in some of the user cabs now. I just reshuffled a bunch of the user cabs in here to make it a little bit more friendly to use. User... I know this is thrilling to watch, so I apologize. Let's see. It's a V30. There's a... That's better. There's a cab I want. Yeah, I always forget how good Strats sound. I don't spend enough time playing them, but I've played this guitar live a lot. No, this is a really good one for, not necessarily for, you know, the stuff I normally do with the original band, but you know, for kind of blues stuff and for funk gigs and things like that. You know, the neck pickup and the neck and middle. I just love being able to do that. Go from let me go back to this. And obviously this is cool for the... Really good for the Hendrix thing or the Trower thing. With a bit of the uni-vibe thing happening there, which on its own sounds like this. So at the moment, this is something a little bit different. This is the Fender Vibro King model in the fractal, and I use this one for gigs where I'm playing electric guitar, but there's acoustic guitar players in the band. So the last thing I was playing on was, gee, what was that? That's the, I made a preset with a blackback IR that was shared on the Fractal forum. So if you look up LT800 blackbacks, that was the last one. And the one I'm on at the moment is a Vibro King. And man, no worries if you're at work, you know. I'm happy to be a distraction. I'm glad you're cool with those models, man. The one thing about modeling units, you know, when they sound good anyway, is my philosophy towards using it is, you know, I would construct a rig the way I would construct a rig out of real things. So my main rig before I switched over was a Marshall style amp with like an overdrive in front of it. Uses primarily as just a boost and a delay pedal in the effects loop. and I was using an even-tight H9, so if I didn't want delay, I could have a couple of other effects like the rotary speaker thing, or a bit of chorus or pitch shifting when I needed it, and a wah, and that was it. And that's basically how I designed my main preset. It's a do everything kind of thing. But the other advantage is once you've done that, and once you've kind of like rebuilt your dream rig, I guess, in it, you can build a lot of other rigs. So you need to figure out, or you need to do some reading and listening to what certain, like the real world equivalent of those amps actually do. So for example, the Vibro King, I've got a friend who owns a Vibro King, and you know, he sets it a really specific way, and I've heard him play through it, and you know, it sounds really good when you set it like that. So I've tried to set the Axe 8 model in a similar way, because the amp modeling is pretty accurate. You get ballpark really close and really quickly. So you can kind of do that. And like, you know, for this, it's if I want to play a Strat, I want that kind of Fendery thing happening. The whack, you know. But, you know, I don't own any Fender amps myself, so, you know, you go and do the research and talk to people about how they set their amps, and you need to set Fenders very differently to Marshalls or Messrs. So when you kind of do that, or when, you know, I guess the equivalent on the Axe 8 would be to download other people's presets and see where they set the knobs on certain amp models, and you just kind of get this very gradual accumulation of the knowledge of what's going on. So yeah, the Vibro King's really nice. I think it's one of my favorite Fender models in there. Questions about what I'm doing here, who I am. If you want to hear any gear in action, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to indulge. Yeah, I think that approach seems to be the best way to get the most out of the amp models. I've never played a 5153 either. I've played a 5150 before, but you know, there's certain. I think for me, it's like, you know, the best thing is use your ears and use what makes you happy. But sometimes you bring up an amp model and it won't make you happy with the default settings, and you might write it off. In which case, before you write it off, it's always good to go back and go, okay, cool, where do people normally set these? I mean, I've got a 5153 preset that I really like. It's in my main bank, I think, actually. Where is it? There it is. So I've got this main bank of kind of presets which I have on standby to play gigs. My main one's this Mark II C++ thing. And then I've copied that same template, and I've got the 5153. And you can hear there's just so much more low end in there, and sometimes certain rooms, certain gigs, I need that, and other times that sounds a bit woofy, so I use the Mark II C+, which has a much tighter low end. So, but yeah, you know, these amps just sound good. They're built for a very particular style of playing, I think, obviously, but it's so satisfying to play that. Blue 50 watt as well. I think that's my favorite model at the moment, from the 5150 models. The Fractal Audio 6160 model is really good too. Very, very similar to this one, but I think this one's kind of got a little bit more of the like real amp mojo going on. So that's the 5153. The other one, oh dude, the cab IRs, yes, I'm very glad that you mentioned that. I was talking to somebody I know who, like, they bought an Axe 8 yesterday. They were talking about how easy it was to use, and we were making that discussion about the impulse responses. And as an example, I'm going to take that same preset. I'm just going to flick through a couple of impulse responses. My favorite ones are the Justin York Messer impulses that he's got, which I've got on here. So, I mean, here's his 57 one. And I've got the low cut at 80 Hertz and the high cut at 10,000 Hertz for this particular one. So that's my main one. I'm going to go to some of the factory cabs. I'm just going to flick through them because, oh my gosh, some of them sound amazing and some of them don't sound amazing when you set up tones. So let's see. I'm just going to say we'll stick to the 412s. So the first 412 in the box is the Factory 34. Basket Weave G12H30. It's a red wise impulse. Let's hear it. And immediately, I don't like that as much. It's nowhere near as focused, and it's got this weird washiness to it. Almost sounds like, I don't know if that's a mix, but it sounds a little bit phasey. And then you've got, so there's a bunch of, the red wise impulses are pretty good. Factory 43 is this recto shot with an SM57. Let's hear that. For me, that's a little bit more like it. Here's a recto. That's got a little less sizzle in the top end. It's a little bassier, so maybe this Factory Cab 44, 43 and 44 blended together might be really good. There's this Soldano. I mean, that particular impulse, the Soldano one, I think you can hear it's really dark compared to the other ones, but the Soldano SLO is a super bright amp, so this impulse would probably fit that super bright amp a little more. And so those ones are really good. The ML ones sound pretty awesome. They've always got a nice low end and a balanced high end, which I think is important. Factory 60 is that to me is what a V30. What is it? No, it's a greenback. So well, I don't even know what I'm talking about. But that's what a 412 mic'd up should sound like to me anyway. So I like that particular impulse. And then you've got where's one that I don't like that's based on 412. Say this 412 sorcerer. It's way too fizzy sounding with this setup and doesn't have enough low end. My favorite in the box is Factory 149. Just a fat sounding impulse, sounds really good with high gain amps. But out of all of them, these Justin York impulses that I bought, the bipolar cab pack, they do it for me. This is York Audio Recto ST412 57MC. That's the impulse that I like the best. And once you've found a good impulse, then you can kind of go ahead, and I find using the same impulse and a bunch of different amps really lets you compare the amps, and keeping the same if you need a couple of different sounds at a gig and you need to switch presets, it's pretty handy to use the same cab impulse if you can, so you're not kind of like drastically altering the tone. Sorry, I've been looking at Axe Edit. I'm just catching up to the comments. Yeah, man, the sync controllers and coil splits, that's exactly what I do with these amps. The Mark II C++ and 5153 and the Friedman, they'll respond really well to that stuff. So when I'm saying blend them, in what I mean is create a stereo cab in Axe Edit and then just enter two different impulses, and then you can blend the two of them together and adjust the relative level. You could have one on the left side of the stereo spectrum, one on the right. You could have them, I blend them both down the center and then put all the stereo effects after. The ML Zilla pack, but not got around to using them. There's a really, really good free impulse that somebody put up of a Zilla cab and a WGS Retro 30, and that's one of my favorite free impulses that I've ever got. So I imagine the ML Zilla pack would be really good. I like the way that guy shoots impulses. Factory 149, yeah. Factory 149, yeah, it's a good one to build sounds around, man. That was just the one I liked in the box, so I kind of stuck with it. You start with find one that you like to start with, and then just run with it. Please talk about how I do a lead boost with your Axe 8. Yeah, definitely. So you can hear this preset. Hopefully you can hear if the compression isn't going nuts through YouTube. There's the rhythm sound, and then there's the lead sound. And the way I do this is if you download this preset, it's LT5153 Blue. You can get it on Axchange. Download the preset and have a look at it. What I've done is I have a parametric EQ block after the cab block. So the chain is kind of like wah, overdrive, amp, cab, parametric EQ, and then delay and the rest of the stuff. So one thing I do is with the parametric EQ, because I want my lead sound to occupy the mid-range in the stereo spectrum. So rather than just set the parametric EQ block to simply boost the level by 3 dB or whatever you want to do, 2 to 3 dB is pretty safe. Some people do up to 6 dB. Anything more, you're going to have a really unhappy sound guy. What I do is I think at like 2K, I increase so parametric EQ block, 2K, bump up, boost that particular frequency where the guitar sits and cuts through in a mix. It's got its own space amongst drums and bass right around those frequencies. I set that to about 1.5 dB. I roll off a little bit of low end, and I boost the overall level of the parametric EQ block by about 1.5 dB. So overall, you should get about 3 dB of boost at 2K, and everything else should be brought up a little bit as well. So it's more than just a volume boost in that case. It's a volume and a mid-range boost to help you cut through the mix. The other thing that you can do is if you go to the scenes menu in Axe8 Edit, you can just increase the level of each scene. So you can set scene 1, 2, and 3 to be the normal level, and scene 4 you can give it a boost there, and that saves you having to use up a block and having to use up CPUs. So I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I can bring up Axe8 Edit, but let's see if I can do that. Let's see. Audio info capture, browser source. All right, there. Whoa. This is going crazy. I apologize about that. Let's shrink this down. So what I'm going to do is I'll bring up Axe8 Edit, which you guys should hopefully be able to see. So talking about a lead boost, scene 1, you can see, is drive, amp, and cab. And you can see here the parametric EQ. The level is 1.5 dB, and then band 3 I set at 2K for a 1.5 dB boost. Really subtle. One other thing that I was talking about, is to set the, maybe 120 or something like that. Kick in a, yeah, so. That would be how I would go about doing that. Now let me minimize the display capture. Cool. We have like an infinity of mirrors going on there. So that is how I would make a lead boost with the Axe8. I hope you guys could see what was going on there in the corner anyway. And yeah, I mean, like I said, if you do a little bit of research and figure out where a guitar sits relative to the other instruments in a band and boost those frequencies, that will really, it'll sound ugly on its own, but it really will work great in a band. Because I figure if you're playing on your own and you need a lead boost, you're probably just going to turn the volume up manually, so that's a bit of a moot point. Most of the time you want a volume boost because you want to do it while you're playing live. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that's useful. And I really do like that lead sound. If there's no other questions, I'm going to call it here, and I'll do another live stream tomorrow. I have another question. What preset did you say to download? I'm going to whack it in the comments here before I do that, and hopefully it will all work. Actually, even better, I will give you guys a link to all my Axe8 presets, which you can get here. Let me create this link, copy Dropbox link. So it's a Dropbox link. It will take you to a folder with a whole bunch of files, and it's easier. You'll just be able to download them. Some of them are bundles. All right, there is the Dropbox link if you guys want to do that. How much clean can you roll back? Well, quite a bit. The only thing you need to be wary of is if you've got the input noise gate on, which for a sound like this. So what I've got at the moment, here's my rhythm crunch sound. What I would do is I would turn the drive off, the overdrive pedal, and then, let's see, let's roll it back to about 5, 3, you can start to hear there that the noise gate is picking up on that. So what I'm going to do is, just for the sake of showing you guys, I will turn the noise gate off, and you get a little bit of hiss because there's obviously lots of gain going on. But that's clean. That's with the volume on like 1 or 2. And remember that a real amp would hiss like this as well. So all the way up. So if you're a guy who likes to use, and you know, that's, I can even give it just the tiniest amount there with the noise gate, and it will. So it's quite a, you know, it's quite similar to the way a real amp would react like that. And you know, obviously the way I've got this set up, I can roll off the volume control. There's a clean sound. Wind the volume control up. Keep an overdrive pedal on. So that's pretty impressive. I think from that end, that's actually quite a cool. That's quite a hip sound, I think. Anyway, guys, thank you for the questions. I'm going to call it at that. Like I said, I'll do another live stream tomorrow or something like that, and we can go through some more stuff. Thank you for the questions. Enjoy the presets, and you know, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and checking out some of the other videos. And I will see you guys next time.